Okay, hi everyone, Daryl here. So this is my latest episode of Bangkok in the news. So what I do is that whatever news that I read up about Bangkok, then I will actually touch on it. Actually, the largest news that came out of Bangkok the last week or so was perhaps uh, the bombing that happened throughout Bangkok, but they were made with homemade bombs. Coincidentally, my colleague Kevin and I, we were actually in Bangkok and we actually walked past one of the bomb sites, and that was like maybe barely um like we were there like 3 p.m. the previous day, and then next day at 9 a.m. The bomb actually set off. So we were there like about 18 hours before the bomb actually set off at that site. So it's quite lucky because coincidentally we also don't go to the Saturn Financial District very often, but we were invited by the King Power PR team to actually go and feature one of their actually feature the three units of their three show units that they have of Ritz-Carlton residences, but we did a very detailed shoot of one, so we only ended up with just one. Yeah, so that was the largest news in Bangkok, and then all other news were just put aside. But fortunately, there were no like casualties in terms of anyone losing their lives during the bombings, but a few people were injured. But that's like totally not how most people in Thailand actually live their lives. Thais are generally quite peace-loving people, and it's actually the insurgency in the south that is causing all these problems, according to army intelligence figures out. But okay, so this time round, right? What's happening in and what I've read. So I actually share with everyone. So there's this news about this new Skytrain propelling Bangkok Land. So if you're not already familiar, so Bangkok Land is actually a listed holding company, and they do a lot of property investments. So they do property development, property investments, and what happens is that they are planning to develop in areas uh, Mong Tong Thani and along the Pink Line Skytrain. So if you've been following the Bangkok uh, landscape, you realize that the train stations, there are more and more train stations coming up. So recently, we actually did a video. We're doing a video. Actually, we already filmed a video whereby we went to the extension. So now currently, if you want to go to the Chinatown of Bangkok, which is Yawarat, you can actually take a, a train and you can alight using the blue line to get to Yawarat. So and also if you want to get to the other places on the purple line, which is after Tao Pun, which is near the Bangsar Grand Station, there's also lines traveling up and down. And now currently the green Sukhumvit line, the one whereby the tourists we are familiar with, so the one that runs across Aso, Nana, Plonchit, Chitlom, Siam, that line, on one side, it has already extended past Bering. So after like Bangna, you will go Bering and all that, and then now it's all the way to Keha. And on the other side, right, there's also an extension. That means that the green line is going to continue, and it's going up north, further up. So what happens is that we've always explained, because bulk of our buyers come from places like Hong Kong or uh, China or even Singapore to a limited extent currently. So a lot of times when a Hong Kong buyer approaches us, they actually say, "Oh, I want to buy near this train station," but then the train station is like the upcoming pink line. So a pink line is actually different from how the Hong Kong people see their MTR. So in Hong Kong, because everything is so densely uh, put together, the when you're next to a train line, most probably the location is quite good. But when Bangkok starts building and extending its train line, it is not with the intent of creating another central business district close to all these train lines. So the idea is to bring people from almost outside of Bangkok or even outside of Bangkok into central Bangkok, because the congestion is really horrible. So Bangkok is like totally famous for jams. Okay, so if you can take like about half an hour just to go to BTS stations. I've taken a cab from Thong Lo, and to get to Asok it took me like 45 minutes, and I think if I walk, right, it's also slow, it's also much faster than 45 minutes. So the jam is horrible in Bangkok, and it rains, and it's hot, and the the whole place is sometimes is the air quality is not so clean, so people tend to prefer to drive. If not, then they would travel using the public transport, which is the train. Okay, don't try using the buses, because I've tried using the buses before and it's not a pleasant experience. So the train is one of the most comfortable things that you can use to travel around central Bangkok. So what happens is that when the when Bangkok expands its metro lines, it is not with the intent of building cities around these extensions. It is actually with the intent of bringing people from outside Bangkok or edges of Bangkok into central Bangkok. So it actually provides more workers to come into central Bangkok to help out in the economy, work in the central business district. And then it also alleviates the jam, because everyone wants to stay closer and closer and closer to central Bangkok so that they don't have to deal with the jam. But then that poses another problem, because more and more people want to stay in central Bangkok becomes more and more congested. When the train lines are spread out, people will say, okay, I don't mind maybe taking a half an hour train ride back home. Then they don't mind living in places a little bit further, but they take the train line back home rather than stay so close to the central business district. So if you want to know what is a proper jam, right, please just take a taxi ride from maybe like Asok BTS and just tell the taxi driver, right, to bring you to like Siam. Then you know what's a proper jam. Okay, so that's like one of the most legend jams you ever been in, and just do it during like normal peak hour traffic, like just after work. Try to do it, and then you see what I mean. So this Bangkok Land, right, when you read news like this new Skytrain propelling Bangkok Land, they're actually developing outside of central Bangkok. So they are developing to in places like Mongtong Thani, so trying to take advantage of the pink line Skytrain. So if you see our some maps that we've provided or we've spoken of before, right, then all these are like further out a little bit of Bangkok, and then all these are places whereby you expect demand to increase in future. They're trying to bring people into central Bangkok, so people don't mind staying in these places. Yeah, so when you read something like this, right, got to be careful. So, but it also shows you that the demand is going to increase in places which are a little bit further just because of the pink line. So developers are going in, more and more spotlight will be placed on these dark areas. So you can try to consider some places whereby maybe there are intersections, there are large community malls coming up, and whatnot. But just be careful that if you want to invest based on the basis that there's a train line next to the condominium, then just make sure that the train station that's next to the condominium makes sense. It's not like maybe like I don't know, like maybe near Dom Wang Airport, whereby I myself I don't know, I don't think there's going to be much demand there, but at the area which makes sense. So if you don't understand which area makes sense, right, maybe you can look up our other videos. We try to share and some opinion, some facts on where we think are the up and coming locations in Bangkok. Okay, so the next one is actually not too good for landlords. So there's this TM30 form which we've touched about extensively. So there's actually a lot of confusion and anger over this TM30 form, the essence of the form is that it is supposed to be a form whereby the Thai government is trying to monitor movement of foreigners. Not all foreigners, but they're trying to make sure that people who don't have good intentions to stay in Thailand, they are monitored and they can know where they are staying, so that easier for them to police these people. Like there are a lot of criminals who may just want to stay in Bangkok and then um, running away from the law from in other jurisdictions, other countries. So Thailand wants to make this place safer. They implement this TM30 rule. But in all honesty, in my opinion, right, I think that they by implementing the rule in its literal form, right, it's not going to be good for foreign residents. Because as a landlord, if my tenant, example, my tenant maybe is from the UK, then my tenant says, okay, I'm going to leave to go back to the UK for maybe a week for holiday. So he leaves and he comes back, right? I need to re-register um, this tenant in the TM30 again. So essentially, it is up to the landlord to monitor where your tenant go when your tenant goes in and out of the country, which is a little bit troublesome. So a lot of people are actually making noise. They are saying that yes, we understand that you are trying to make this place a safer place, but then by implementing the TM30 form in its literal form, right, then it's making it more and more troublesome. Okay, so you can see that actually landlords and tenants who fail to comply, they face some fines like 800 to 2,000 baht. But like because Bangkok, right, if you've been living, working, and dealing with Bangkok properties, or in general like Bangkok businesses, you realize that different officers have different rulings, so the fines also differ. So in all honesty, some people ask me how much will I get fined, but because we deal with Bangkok property all throughout Bangkok, right, then we also don't know, because one immigration office, right, we find a different price as compared to another immigration office. So we also always tell people 800 to 2,000 baht, which is exactly what Bangkok post here. Okay, so this is something that I hope that they will come to some resolution. This TM30 form, right, is going to be really troublesome if they implement it forcefully. But as foreigners, right, I've always mentioned, let's not try to it's not a place for us to debate whether we want to follow or not. As foreigners, we should just follow the law in Thailand. Uh, we've already been welcomed in Thailand. They openly allow us to buy properties. They openly allow us to enjoy their country. Then please follow the rules. And if you're unsure, we have some videos on TM30. You can just go and take a look, and we actually leave the link, and you can actually, if you're a landlord, you can actually register your tenant under the TM30 online portal. Okay, so next one will be this shop space falls 10% in Bangkok. So Bangkok is actually famous for malls. There are actually two formats. One is actually a hypermart. So if you go to the central mall in like Chitlom, so you go to uh, what's that mall? It's called Central World Mall, right, or something like that. So you go to Central World at Chitlom, right? That's called a hyper mall or a mega mall. What we call hyper mall, mega mall. So there are two types of format. One is a hyper mall or mega mall, which is the ultra large one. Then there's normally it's a standard formula. So that there's normally a cinema on the top level. There's a large food court. Then there's a large departmental store. So like for Central World, there's actually um, Isetan and oh my goodness, I just forgot the other retailer. Yeah, but there are two retailers that are there. Then there's actually like even an ice skating ring. There are events that are held in the central foyer area. So these are hyper malls or central or like mega malls. Then there's another form of mall which is a community mall. So a community mall is something like if you go to Tonglo, then There's the Commons, or recently we've been promoting 72 Courtyard. These are like community malls, smaller malls. So if you go to like where else? Maybe you go to like next to RE, right? There's also a community mall. Next to RE BTS, there's a community mall. There are some eateries. There's no cinema, no nothing. There's just some eateries, some tiny shops. These are community malls. So the community mall format is actually getting more and more popular now. It used to be mega malls. So what happens is that a lot of developers, they're actually holding back on launching their mega malls. So if you know, there's actually there's actually a uh, there's actually a large mall called the Bangkok Mall. It's by the mall group, the same people who created Siam Paragon. They are supposed to create the largest mall in Bangkok, which will be bigger than Icon Siam, but it was actually delayed. So now work has already commenced on the Bangkok Mall, but it will the actual completion of the Bangkok Mall has already been delayed by a couple of years. So it's supposed to be completed earlier, but because of the feasibility and everything, such a large mall, it requires the area around to be a bit more developed. So they're actually delaying it. But so if you take a look, like shop space falls 10% in Bangkok, it's actually talking about new retail space. So yeah, they're just saying that overall, right, developers, they prefer to focus on small retail stores instead of like hyper malls, mega malls. Okay, so yeah, and retail space in Bangkok University amounts to like 8.2 million square meters, which is like really huge. Yeah, and these are the other malls that are expected to open. So like uh, the malls in Silom Center, Lang Suan Village, and this Siam X Siam Piwat on Bang Natrat Road. So Bang Natra Road. So these are the few things. So the other mall is like this Central Village, Smile Square on Patchbury Road, and this Samyan Midtown on Rama 4 Road. Actually, I've never heard of this before, but okay, it's good to know there's going to be a mall there. Okay, so the retail space, right, at one period of time, there were malls being open, mega malls being open every other month. But now the expansion of retail space, they say this decline since like 2017. Okay, so yeah, so the hypermart format is actually dying off. Uh, and this is another one. So this is One Bangkok. So if you guys are unfamiliar with One Bangkok, it's actually a joint development by this company called TCC Assets and Fraser's Property. So TCC Assets, if I'm not wrong, is actually a listed company on the Stock Exchange of Thailand. And then in collaboration with Fraser's Property, which is a Singapore listed company on the Singapore Stock Exchange. And it's supposed to be a mixed-use project. So this One Bangkok is like a huge community. It's not just one condominium. It's a whole community, which is One Bangkok. So you can see this whole model behind. It's actually located next to Lumpini Park. If you guys are familiar, Lumpini Park is near like Silom train station, and yeah, and there's a link to Lumpini MRT station. So it's right at the edge of like the Saturn. I mean, it's right in the heart of Saturn Financial District, and it's along Rama 4 Road. So if you guys are familiar with Bangkok, right, Rama 4 Road is the road parallel to the main Sukhumvit Road, which is where tourists are more familiar with. Okay, so this large development called One Bangkok, right, is like a huge area. So if you drive along Rama 4 Road next to Lumpini, this line here, this line here is Rama 4 Road. Then this is actually Wireless Road. So this is the Lumpini Park area. This is Lumpini Park. So it's just opposite. Okay, so this is a large development, something that if let's say you're looking to invest in Bangkok, you should be aware of this. This is the area which I think it will always be the most prime area in central Bangkok. I've always mentioned, if people argue with you where's the most central part of Bangkok, it's always Wireless Road. Why is it Wireless Road? I've mentioned countless number of times. don't be fooled by agents saying that there's no wires in Wireless Road, which is totally ridiculous. Uh, it's the most rubbish thing I've ever heard. There are loads of wires along Wireless Road, but the main reason why it's called Wireless Road, right, is because when they were doing the topographic study of the city, then that was where the first broadcasting station was built, because that was surveyed to be the most central area whereby it's easy for them to get the signal out to the rest of the city. So that's the main reason why it's called Wireless Road. And since it's topographically and historically the most central part of Bangkok, right, they built one Bangkok there along Wireless Road close to Lumpini Park. So this is really prime land, and uh, in my opinion, right, this is quite a significant development. Uh, Sensiri did something similar in its T77 community, which is at Onut area, and then that is on a very small scale. So what One Bangkok is trying to do, which is TCC Assets and Fraser's Property, right, which is a Thai and Singapore company, they're trying to build this huge community. It's a mixed use project. So there's going to be like offices, condominiums, hotels, retail space, all in this area. So I believe some projects will be coming up. It's something to look forward to when you build a whole community, and when you get Frasers to come in, you do know that they have very good experience. I'm not saying it because I'm a Singaporean and Frasers is a Singapore company, but through past experiences or through past projects, right, we know that Frasers has a very good track record. So if you want to know, if you want to see uh, like you want to see something whereby you want to invest in something whereby you know that the developers are, or the people in charge know what they're doing, right? And Frasers is most probably one of the better ones in the market. Yeah, so okay, anyway, the links to all these articles, right, will actually be in the description below. So I'll put it in the YouTube channel. But yeah, so from time to time, right, whenever we read anything with regards to Bangkok property, or like the economy in general, or maybe any news that may be of interest to you guys, we'll actually put it up. We'll share with you the link, and then in the YouTube channel, then after that you guys can actually read up. And we do think that it's important that if you're looking to invest in Bangkok, you need to understand, and you need to be always reading news. So whether it's good or bad, right, you also need to know. Okay, so like some people buy already, right, buy the condo, then they also don't know what's TM30. So uh, yeah, so recently we've been touching on TM30 countless number of times for the past few months. And then after that, like all these things that are happening, like One Bangkok developing, all that, you guys should know also. So yeah, so I'll leave the all these links, right, in the description below. So if you want to read the full article, you just click, and then just um, just go through. Okay, but obviously the largest news in the last week was actually the those like tiny homemade bombs which were there. But we're not going to share the article because I'm like totally against this like terrorist act thing. I think this is like nonsensical, and I don't want them to get any airtime. Anyway, they I I don't see much fuss about the whole thing already. Everything is almost back to normal. We have some videos on that. Yeah, so yeah, just read up. Especially this One Bangkok, right? Try to learn more about One Bangkok. In my opinion, is quite a significant project, and at least it makes sense because in spite of all the like mega developments like Icon Siam, then a condominium is coming. I mean a condominium which is next to it, by Magnolia. Now currently that's the tallest building in Bangkok. But if you want to know the tallest building that you can stand on, which is the top of Bangkok, right, then that is still the Mahanakon. So Mahanakon, I think, is 314 meters, and then that one by Magnolia at Icon Siam is 317. So it beat it by 3 meters just because there's a pole down there. But then it's officially the tallest building in Bangkok already. So Yeah, so these are the small little things that you should know. And in my opinion, if you're going to look at Icon Siam, it's just a huge mall, but if you go look around it, right, the community is not there. So around it is still not developed. But if you look around like One Bangkok, right, you look around and then you know that right in front, right, is the Silom area, which is the where the financial district is. Next to it is Lumpini Park. Just behind this is actually I mean all the condominiums and all the high-end residences and hotels along Wireless Road. So you go further up, you get to like Plonchit. Yeah, so this area is actually really prime, and yeah, just go and read up more about One Bangkok because I think it's quite a significant development. Yeah, so that's all from me, and I'll see you the next video.